Welcome back to the Big Sci-Fi podcast, In Between Season Shorts. Remember, we're part of the Trek Geeks Network, and we're bringing to you some flash fiction pieces that each of us wrote. Hopefully, you've already heard Chris's story, and I'm going to read you in a second. But before I do, make sure you like and follow us here on YouTube or your favorite social media places. Now, we did the same thing that we did last season. We're writing 1,000-word stories, and we each contributed an element to the story that we have to use and incorporate in our story. Those elements are opening day, sticker, Corvette, and self-sealing stem bolt. That's a mouthful. Self-sealing stem bolt. Say that like 5 times fast.
See, can't do it.
Now, each of us haven't heard each other's story until we're recording it today, and I guess it's my turn. So I'm just gonna launch in and go. Is that okay?
Yay!
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Go.
We're
Adeena.
waiting with great anticipation.
Yeah.
Okay. The name of my story, which I agonized over this. I'm actually still not even sold on the name of it. So
Seems like a really long title to me, but whatever.
Okay.
You're describing. Okay.
Yes,
Gotcha.
but that might have been
so
a
now I
funny.
got the
You know,
joke.
I'm doing that next. That's going to be like my name next time. Okay. The title of the story is Seal of Approval: Bolted Blunders.
Oh,
Wow.
Welcome to the opening day of Alpha Colony's 3rd annual tech fair, an announcer declared. Corvette Starling glanced up, then searched for the registration desk. It was Corvette's first time at what had become Mars's most prestigious fair. Entrants had to be at least 16 years old due to strict travel requirements between the Red Planet's scattered colonies. 16-year-old Corvette, a lifelong resident of Alpha Colony, didn't have to travel. So instead, each of the last 2 years, she had written a strongly worded letter, with her parents' encouragement, to make an exception for her. Her parents, one head of the quantum energy harvesting and the other the head of the intercolony transportation and logistics department, could probably have intervened more, but to their credit, they let Corvette fight and lose her own battles. Now, carrying an equipment case in each hand, she was finally here. Registration validated her identification via a facial and retina scan, and then Corvette was shown to her table. She unpacked a small cylinder and 2 plastic containers from their cases. The small, squat cylinder fit in the palm of her hand. She placed it on the back of the table and centered it. Then she put her hands on her hips and drew in a deep breath and let it out slowly. "This is it, Corvette," she said to herself. "Time to show everyone your invention." She took a moment to look around. The displays on the tables to either side of her were all set up and the owners weren't in sight. No reason for them to remain at their tables. Judging wasn't supposed to begin for another hour. That was more than enough time. It would only take her a few moments to complete her own setup. Out of the first plastic container, Corvette pulled thumb-sized clumps of metal. She chuckled to herself, remembering that's how her 6-year-old brother described them. "Look closer," she said, trying to be patient and educate him. "It's not even just metal. See that tiny flashing light? That's one of the 17 sensors it has looking for the right conditions." "Right conditions for what?" the boy asked, turning the piece over and over in his hand while squinting at it. "To find something to seal. I told you before, it's a self-sealing stem bolt. Once it's installed in the right place, it will seal itself in." "What does right place mean?" "Like, well, when things need bolting together." She knew she needed a better answer in case the judges asked that question. Those sessions with her brother were excellent preparation for today. Her parents tried to help, too, but given they were both technological experts, their challenging questions were an order of magnitude harder than what the judges might ask. One unresolved question lingered in her brain. "Can you discuss what fail-safe mechanisms you designed and integrated into your stem bolt design to prevent catastrophic failures in critical infrastructure systems?" her mother had asked. Corvette was stumped then. Corvette wasn't sure she could answer it now. "Look, if a judge gives you a question you can't answer," her father offered, "mention requirements. Talk about how in a future iteration you'd be happy to consider incorporating additional requirements." After a reassuring hug from both her parents, she left their small but appropriately sized apartment that morning. With 6 lumps of metal, or stem bolts, on the table, she placed several pieces of metal with holes of varying sizes next to them for demonstrations. She closed the container and tossed it aside, then addressed the second container. From it, she removed a handful of stickers. The stickers depicted Corvette's stem bolt. Seal the future was emblazoned above in a fun font, one Corvette spent more than an hour selecting. Below the image, a machine-readable code linked a scanner to further details. Underneath the machine-readable code, in a not-so-fun font, read, RFID free. Once upon a time, there had been a craze to embed RFID trackers in the ubiquitous sticker until a very public backlash. Now, it was customary to state that stickers were RFID free, and while Corvette had briefly thought about how valuable information on where her stickers wound up was, she knew she'd get enough information from anyone who scanned the machine-readable code. With stickers out and arranged in a pleasing pattern, she put the container away and then touched the top of the small cylinder at the back of the table, which projected a meter-high, meter-wide, the maximum dimensions allowed per Tech Fair rules, presentation of her invention. Corvette stepped back and surveyed her setup. All she needed to do now was wait. The judging session would take place that morning, with all participants expected to remain at their tables while judges walked around and evaluated. Participants would be free to look at the other exhibits that afternoon while the judges deliberated out of sight. Can I get a sticker? It was the person from the table next to hers. Yeah, of course, Corvette said, grabbing one and handing it to him. What happened next was reported in the news that evening. Young inventor accidentally causes, then uses invention to prevent Alpha Colony's aging convention center from collapsing, announced the newscaster. Pivoting to a second camera, she continued. Corvette Starling, resident of Alpha Colony, apparently tripped into a fellow Alpha Colony Tech Fair participant. The mishap led to a chain reaction as they fell into yet another participant's table, causing a cascade effect culminating when a large mass of equipment struck the center's wall. Using her self-sealing stem bolts, Corvette stabilized a damaged structure, aiding the evacuation and prompting discussions of upgrading the facility. We asked Corvette what she thought about the incident. A disheveled yet confident Corvette spoke into a camera. I'd be happy to explain the fail-safe mechanisms in my stem bolts designed to prevent these catastrophic failures in critical infrastructure systems. Thanks, Mom. She ended with a wink.
Nice.
Here we go.
Yeah, that was great.
I love it. That was
Really well
great.
done.
My only question is her sister Mercedes and her other sister Porsche?
I knew I wanted to do something kind of some Mars colony, whatever, and I didn't know how to get a
That's
Corvette
cool.
there.
That was great.
That's
No, that
awesome.
was a perfect
Yeah.
usage. That was really
The only problem I have with the story is you use Corvette as a name for a girl like I did in my story too. So
Did you really?
Oh.
Yes.
That's
I think we're
funny.
going to say
So,
that's not what
next
part of the rules.
episode,
No, that's
folks.
cool.
That's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny.
but that's good.
Thank
no,
you.
I love it. It really felt like, career day or, science day at a high
Mhm.
school,
Mhm.
the anticipation. And then you threw in that she becomes the hero at the end of the story, which was really just well thought out. And
Thanks.
Just,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. The evening that we decided on all the elements and everything, like
Mhm.
when opening day, when you guys said opening day, I immediately thought of opening day of something like a science fair or something like that.
Mhm.
And then that stuck with me for the last 2 weeks. And I was like, I couldn't come up with the rest. And I had to like somehow mad rush it like the last like 2 days to get this together. And then yesterday I was completely stuck on the ending, given I had written most of it. And I'm like, I only have 100 words left. And so that's how I got the newscaster scene, kind of like after
I
effect
like
of what
it. That
happened.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, that's
great. It
smart.
was very vivid and
Yeah.
very. You could see the whole story unraveling just as
Oh, good.
as you were telling the story. That's what you want, a visual. That was
Great.
great. Thank
Oh,
you
good.
so much.
I'm glad you
and
guys
it was
liked
like
it.
such a good practical use of the self-sealing stem bolts. Where I'm like, I wish they had that in DS9. So finally, we have a good explanation as to what they are. It sounded like it was like I'm like, are you going to turn this into a short story? Obviously, you can't use stem bolts, so I
Mhm.
feel like that's already taken. But
Mhm.
this feels like a real publishable.
Well, that is,
work.
I mean, there's a lot of places that take flash fiction. And so to me, that is one. The thing that I was going to say, so I've been rewatching a lot of Lower Decks recently, and there's so many things in Lower Decks that just goes by like so quickly in an instant, you miss it. There's a scene, Mariner sitting there kind of like doing something, and it's a self-sealing stem bolt. She says it. Blah, blah. I got to fix this self-sealing stem bolt or something like that.
Yeah.
And that I caught that,
Cool.
this week. So,
That's
okay.
great.
Very
That's
Well,
great.
Guys,
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And listeners, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it too. As always, please feel free to comment here, any of our platforms, even in our Facebook group find us on Facebook. Let us know what you think. And join us next time for our next flash fiction story here on the Big Sci-Fi Podcast.